Hello everyone. Welcome back to our homeschool channel with another episode of literature studies. Today the topic I've chosen for you is types of genre. We're going to learn different types of genre. This video is equally useful for parents as well. Parents can help their children find out good genres, or they can find out like which kind of book their child likes to read, so it's more engaging, and it's better if the child reads a book of her own choice, so they develop a good taste of literature. So let's begin our video. In types of genre, there are two major genres are fiction and non-fiction. Fiction is what is all made up of. Made up, like it can be stories, they are not true. And non-fiction is all what is true, like for example news, or like research articles, or biographies. There are a lot of types in non-fiction as well, but today I'm going to focus, in this video I'm going to focus on fiction only, types of fiction. So there are a lot of categories in fiction also. Let's begin. As you can see here, I have made a list of these fiction categories in fiction. These are nearly 16 categories, and I'll show you, I have some of the examples of these stories also, and I'll explain these to you, how these are different, so you could help your child choose a good book. The first category is classics. Classics are the books which are written, they are like classic topics. Mostly they refer to old books written by old authors like Shakespeare, or literature books written by famous kids authors. For example, these two are the classic books. Charlotte's Web is one of kids' classic. It has a very good moral to teach. It's a wonderful book, very famous, almost found in all libraries, almost in every house, in every household. Those who have a good taste of literature, they have this book. This is another example of classic book, Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. This book is also part of literature curriculum in A levels, also in Masters of English Literature. I read this book in my Masters of English Literature class. It's usually referred to as one of the very early books of English literature. Our next category is fairy tales. Fairy tales are usually stories about princes, princesses, kings, and queens, like Barbie stories, Cinderella. These are all fairy tales. The next category is fantasy. Fantasy are the books which usually employ a lot of imagination. The Secret Garden is one of such example. It's a children's book, a beautiful book. This story is about a girl who lost her mother in her childhood, and she feels very lonely. It's a beautiful book. She lets her imagination float. She finds relief in her secret garden. Realistic fiction. Realistic fiction are the stories which are close to real life. Like, these are not true stories, but the events that happen in these stories are close to real life. The characters are real, places are real, like there is no fairyland. Events are also possible. That's why we call it realistic fiction. But it's all a made up story. It is not true. Another one I have here, like this is also, this Thea Stilton stories are Geronimo Stilton. This is a very famous kids author, and Thea Stilton and many other stories in these series also there are. This is a good blend of adventure, fantasy, and drama, you can say. Another good genre for children is detective stories, like mystery or detective stories. Those who like to solve puzzles or criminal cases. This is a very popular mystery author or detective stories author. Sherlock Holmes is the detective, and the author is the Conan Doyle. There are many stories in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and most of these stories have been adapted into big screen movies also. These. The Magic School Bus. These are very famous, popular series. Usually, we, the teachers, we use these books at school. In our classrooms, they come with a lot of topics. This is a good blend of science fiction, adventure, and fantasy. But mostly the topics the knowledge that your child gets from these books is real. Like in this one, the Magic School Bus sees stars. So they go on an adventure with Miss Lizzie. This is Miss Liz, and her class goes on an adventure, and they explore stars. Another category, like you can see in this list also, magic stories or horror stories, ghost stories, is like this book is one of this category, magic stories, mystical magic. You might have heard of Harry Potter stories. They also belong to this category. Fantastic Future. This is a very nice book which comes under the category of science fiction. These are futuristic stories. Righteous Robots also is a science fiction story in which all the robots are going to play a riot. They are going against humankind and want to take over the humanity. There are many movies also with this theme, so it depends what your child likes. And the last book in this category I have is the funny. Like this book is funny, humor or funny stories. If your child likes to read funny stories, they are also engaging. So depends what your child likes, and always as a teacher or as a parent, we should help children to choose the book of their choice, so they keep reading and learning new stuff. Another category you would see in the last one in my fiction categories is art. So this is art itself is not a fiction. Art itself, it's a discipline actually. But there are usually stories related to the theme of art, like this book, Awful Art. So this comes in this category. It's a fiction story which is related to the theme of art. I hope this was good knowledge for you as a parent, as a teacher, or as a student. Tell me, what is your favorite genre? What kind of stories do you like to read? In my next video, I will introduce you to non-fiction categories. Bye. Have a good day.